The most formidable man is the one who no longer needs to prove anything to anyone. If you're watching this, you already know you're different. You've walked alone more times than you can remember. You've been misunderstood, underestimated, and at times even feared. Not because you chose to be intimidating, but because you refused to blend in with the crowd. That's the Sigma path. A life built on independence, self-discipline, and relentless evolution. But there's a stage even the strongest Sigmas hesitate to step into. A point where your identity, your desires, and even your need for connection begin to fade. This is the final stage of the Sigma, a state of being so raw, so untouchable, and so self-aware that even the most confident Sigmas feel a spark of fear when they imagine it. Reaching this level isn't about power over others or controlling life. It's about absolute clarity, complete freedom, and the courage to face yourself with no masks, no illusions, and no excuses. It's lonely. It's intense. It's sometimes terrifying. But it is the highest version of who you can become. And the truth is, you already have the potential to reach it. You just need to recognize it, understand it, and confront what it demands. Watch this video until the end, because we're about to break down every layer of this final form. By the time you're done, you'll understand why you are a Sigma, what it truly takes to reach the peak of your potential, and why even the strongest Sigma hesitates at what lies beyond. Let's begin. Number 1, he becomes the version of himself he once hid. Imagine reaching a point where you no longer dilute who you are. For a Sigma male in his final form, this is the moment he becomes the version of himself he once concealed. The version he softened to protect others. For years, he dimmed his presence, muted his intensity, and restrained his sharpness just to keep others comfortable. He held back to avoid overshadowing people, to sidestep conflict, or simply to blend in. But that version of him was incomplete. It was a compromise. A fraction of the force he truly carried within. In the final form, all restraint disappears. He no longer softens his thoughts. He no longer dulls his strength. He no longer bends to anyone's emotional comfort. His presence becomes full, unfiltered, and impossible to ignore. People feel it immediately. That quiet intensity he once kept hidden becomes unmistakable. The razor-sharp mind, the unshakable independence, the depth he once masked, all of it rises to the surface without apology. For many, it is mesmerizing. For others, it is intimidating. But for him, it is liberation. This transformation has nothing to do with ego or arrogance. It is about authenticity, sovereignty, and finally stepping into the totality of who he is. He stops performing for expectations. He stops protecting fragile egos. He understands that holding back only diminishes his potential, and in this stage, compromise no longer exists. What he once restrained out of courtesy becomes his greatest strength. And there is a powerful lesson in this. People only respect what they cannot take for granted. When he softens, they might like him. But when he stands in his full power, without dilution, they respect him, instantly and deeply. He becomes the man whose presence changes the energy of a room. A man who moves through the world on his own terms. A man impossible to overlook, forget, or control. This is the Sigma male's final form in its purest expression. Raw, unapologetic, and undeniable. It is the full, unrestrained manifestation of the man he was always meant to become. Number 2, the mind becomes a fortress. Imagine a mind so sharp it cuts through illusion, deception, and surface-level noise with effortless precision. That is the mind of a Sigma male in his final form. Everything is observed, processed, and understood with an accuracy that borders on the supernatural. You notice patterns others overlook. You anticipate reactions before they unfold. And you read motives that remain invisible to everyone else. Your thoughts become blades. Your awareness becomes unmatched. But this mental evolution carries a weight few ever speak of. This clarity, powerful as it is, can feel like confinement. There is no room for mental laziness, no switch you can flip to turn off. Where others drown themselves in distractions, scroll endlessly, or escape through meaningless conversation. You cannot. Your mind remains alert, processing every detail. Every word spoken to you, every gesture around you, every small shift in someone's tone is instantly catalogued and decoded. This relentless mental discipline keeps you sharp, steady, and nearly impossible to deceive. But it is exhausting in a way that defies simple explanation. What gives others comfort feels empty or irritating to you. You sense the tension in a room before anyone else notices it. You recognize the lies people tell themselves. You detect the subtle manipulation hidden beneath casual interactions. It is a heightened state of existence that leaves no space for ignorance, for blissful blindness, or the luxury of not knowing. Your mind becomes your greatest weapon. And your heaviest burden. Yet this is part of the evolution. This mental fortress is what separates you from the masses, allowing you to navigate life with unmatched precision and insight. It intimidates even you because it exposes the full weight of awareness. You cannot forget. You cannot ignore. You cannot escape your own clarity. The brilliance of your mind comes with a cost. The constant presence of your own power, and the solitude that such clarity demands. This is the reality of reaching the Sigma male's final form. A state that is awe-inspiring, overwhelming, and the purest expression of mental mastery. Number 3, you fear stagnation more than failure. Imagine reaching a stage in life where standing still feels more painful than falling apart. For a Sigma male, stagnation isn't just uncomfortable, it's the deepest, most haunting fear of all. Growth stops being a choice. It becomes a law you live by, even when it drains you. Every day, every decision, every silent moment carries the same question. Am I moving forward, or am I slowly becoming what I swore I'd never be? The idea of becoming predictable, ordinary, unchanged, is terrifying, because you know the moment your mind and spirit stop expanding, the core of who you are begins to decay. And this fear isn't driven by ego or ambition. It's not about chasing praise, money, or recognition. It's about avoiding the slow, invisible death of your potential. You see comfort for what it truly is, a trap. Routine dulls the mind. Predictability weakens the soul. Repetition seduces you into mediocrity. You feel that danger every time you look in the mirror and ask yourself the hard questions. Am I evolving? Am I challenging myself? Am I becoming sharper or softer? You can't lie to yourself. The truth cuts too deep. Every push to grow becomes an act of rebellion against the gravity that tries to pull you into sameness. This relentless hunger is what separates a Sigma from everyone else. Others can settle. You cannot. You embrace discomfort because it keeps your spirit alive. Your fear becomes fuel, sharpening your instincts, refining your decisions, and driving you toward the next version of yourself. Stagnation is the enemy. Growth is the battlefield. Even at his highest level, the Sigma fears stopping, because he knows life only rewards the man who keeps moving. The moment he stands still, he begins to disappear. Number 4, he realizes how rare he truly is, and it terrifies him. Imagine looking inward and suddenly recognizing just how rare you really are. For a Sigma male in his final form, this realization is both exhilarating and unsettling. It's not about arrogance. It's not about superiority. It's the quiet, undeniable truth that only a handful of people will ever truly understand the way your mind works. Your thoughts, your perspective, your depth, your intuition. All of it stands outside the rhythm of the world around you, and that understanding hits with a strange, almost haunting intensity. You see how differently you interpret life. How your priorities diverge from the masses. How your mind moves through pathways most people can't even perceive. People might admire you. They might fear you. They might be drawn to your presence. But to understand you? That is rare, almost unheard of. This realization is both a burden and a gift. It is isolating, yet liberating. You stop seeking validation. You stop explaining yourself. You stop trying to fit into expectations that were never meant for you. You move on your own terms, guided by your inner compass, embracing the solitude that empowers your growth without interference. It humbles you. It strengthens you. And it makes you appreciate the very few people capable of meeting you at your level. Those connections become priceless. But you no longer need the crowd. You no longer need approval or applause. Your rarity becomes your freedom. Recognizing how uncommon you truly are is a turning point in the Sigma journey. It is the moment where fear and liberation merge into one truth. You are rare. You are misunderstood. And you are completely, irrevocably free. Number 5, you become a living paradox. Imagine reaching a stage where no single definition can contain you. For a Sigma male in his final form, you become a paradox. You're invisible when you choose to be, moving through crowds like a shadow, unnoticed, untouched. Yet in the very same moment, your presence becomes undeniable. People feel you before they see you. Your influence is subtle but unmistakably powerful. This duality confuses everyone around you, and sometimes, even you. You are calm, patient, and quietly compassionate. But beneath that gentleness lies a frightening precision. A controlled intensity that can silence a room without a word. People who think they have you figured out quickly realize they don't. You answer only to yourself, guided by a freedom most people can't understand. Yet that freedom is paired with a discipline so internal, so strict, that it shapes everything you do. Your actions, your choices, even your desires. You follow rules no one else can see. But those rules make you unstoppable. This paradox is both empowering and isolating. You move through life with complete autonomy, but it separates you from the world in sharp, quiet ways. Others don't know how to categorize you. You're too independent, too sharp, too unpredictable. Some admire you. Some fear you. Some resent you. Few understand you. But the Sigma paradox holds a deeper truth. Real power comes from mastering yourself. From holding strength and softness at the same time. From being untouchable yet deeply human. You become a walking contradiction. Impossible to contain, impossible to predict, and impossible to forget. Your paradox becomes your identity. And your identity becomes your power. Number 6, the illusion of connection shatters. Imagine reaching a point where you see people as they truly are, not as they pretend to be. For a Sigma male in his final form, the illusion of connection begins to crumble. Conversations that once seemed meaningful now feel rehearsed. Smiles, compliments, friendly gestures. They no longer fool you, because you see the motives behind them. The world is filled with masks, and you see every one of them. This clarity is liberating and isolating. True intimacy becomes rare. Most people operate on the surface, seeking validation, comfort, approval, or convenience. They aren't equipped to handle the depth you carry, the intensity of your awareness, or the honesty you live by. You once tried to meet people halfway. But with time, you stop expecting depth from places that can't offer it. You understand something most never do. Most connections are temporary, transactional, or shallow. This isn't bitterness, it's truth. This fracture pushes you inward. You become selective, deliberate, even surgical, with your energy. The connections you do form are few, but they are profound. They are with people who can handle your honesty, match your depth, and stand in your presence without flinching. Everyone else is observed, appreciated, but never depended on. This stage is frightening because every human craves connection. You feel loneliness pulling at you, even while understanding the necessity of distance. But your detachment doesn't make you cold. It makes you accurate. You know who is worth your time. Who drains your energy. Who aligns with your purpose. And who exists only on the edges of your life. Your world becomes sharper, clearer, and more defined. But it comes at the cost of the easy, casual bonds that once filled your days. This is the Sigma male final form. A space where masks dissolve, superficiality is transparent, and real intimacy is rare but priceless. It is isolating. It is intense. It is powerful. And it teaches you one ultimate truth. Deep awareness always comes with a price, and genuine connection becomes a treasure few are worthy of. Number 7, pleasure becomes hollow. Imagine reaching a stage where the things that once excited you simply don't. Money, recognition, admiration. The same rewards that once boosted your ego now feel strangely empty. You chase them, and for a brief moment they glitter. But the shine fades almost instantly. The parties, the praise, the victories. None of them touch the deeper part of you that craves meaning. You begin to see a harsh truth. Everything the world calls pleasure is temporary, shallow, and quickly consumed. At first, this realization is unsettling. You worked hard to rise, to prove yourself, to accomplish the goals society glorifies. Yet when you finally reach those heights, there is no lasting triumph. Just a quiet emptiness. But in that emptiness, the Sigma begins to awaken. You discover that real fulfillment doesn't come from admiration or status. It doesn't come from applause, envy, or external validation. It comes from one place only. The inner evolution of who you are becoming. Self-realization becomes the true pursuit. It's gritty, relentless, and deeply personal. Something no one else can hand you or validate for you. Every moment of clarity, every internal breakthrough, every step of mastery, is far more exhilarating than any external reward. The world may never witness this transformation. The applause may never come. Yet the satisfaction is raw, undeniable, and deeply yours. This is why even the strongest Sigma feels a profound solitude at the top. The pleasures that once motivated you are hollow because you have outgrown them. What matters now is the inward journey. Sharpening your mind, confronting your truth, and becoming the man you were meant to be. It's not easy. It's not glamorous. And no one else can give it to you. But it is the highest form of fulfillment. The kind that makes you untouchable, unshakable, and fully in command of your existence. Number 8, he becomes immune to emotional bait. Imagine reaching a place where no one can manipulate your emotions, no matter how hard they try. For a Sigma male in his final form, this is when he becomes immune to emotional bait. Arguments, guilt trips, drama, subtle manipulation. None of it pulls a reaction from him anymore. People may still try, often unconsciously. But he has learned the truth. Reacting emotionally is almost always a loss. A drain. A distraction. This immunity is not born from coldness. It is not about shutting down or becoming emotionally numb. It comes from understanding the cost of emotional reactivity. Every time he reacts without thinking, to anger, shame, provocation, he pays a hidden price. Time, clarity, energy, peace. Over time, he realizes that people who try to provoke him are usually feeding their own insecurities. Responding only strengthens their tactics and weakens his position. So the Sigma chooses a different path. He observes instead of participating. He recognizes the patterns, the emotional traps, the manipulative hooks. And instead of snapping back or defending himself, he simply steps out of the trap entirely. Calm, grounded, fully aware. His stillness alone communicates power. He becomes untouchable to chaos. This changes every interaction. He is no longer dragged into meaningless arguments, unfair guilt, or unnecessary drama. He guards his focus, his energy, and his boundaries with surgical precision. People may not understand it. Some may even resent it. But they cannot shake him. Becoming immune to emotional bait is one of the highest forms of self-mastery. It is the point where the Sigma sees through all the noise, the games, the manipulation, the hidden motives, and chooses himself above everything else. In his final form, he is untouchable. Not because he does not feel, but because he finally understands which battles matter, and which are nothing more than distractions. Final words. The ultimate freedom is knowing who you are, and refusing to settle for anything less. If you've made it this far, you already understand something most people never will. Being a Sigma is not about status, attention, or dominance. It's about clarity, independence, and mastery of the self. The Sigma male's final form is not something anyone reaches easily. It is intense, isolating, and sometimes terrifying because it strips away illusions, attachments, and the comfort of being understood. But that is also where its power lies. You are different. You think differently. You feel differently. You move through life with an awareness most people will never experience. Yes, it can be lonely, but it is liberating. You no longer chase validation. You are no longer controlled by opinions. You see patterns clearly, read intentions instantly, and act from awareness rather than reaction. Your mind, your time, and your energy belong solely to you, and that is the highest form of strength a man can achieve. This form does not make you unfeeling. It makes you intentional, precise, and unshakable. The world will try to pull you into chaos, insecurity, and distraction, but you now understand the cost of responding. You give your energy only to what matters. You no longer let anyone shrink your spirit or distort your path. This is not a warning, it is a reminder of what you're capable of. Every Sigma watching this has the potential to reach this level. It requires courage, discipline, and brutal honesty with yourself. It may feel intimidating, because it demands more than what most people are willing to give. But it is also liberating. It allows you to exist fully, freely, and powerfully. Remember, being a Sigma isn't about being understood by the world. It's about understanding yourself so deeply that you move through life without compromise. Embrace it. Honor it. Step into the version of yourself you may have feared, because that version is unstoppable, extraordinary, and entirely yours. Thank you for watching.